Kolstein shop started by Samuel Kolstein in 1944 when Sam got out of the Army. He completed his studies at Juilliard Music School, and at that point opened up a shop, actually two shops, one in Brooklyn and one up on 55th and 6th Avenue in Manhattan. It was a pretty comprehensive shop. I mean, it had a full staff of high-quality repairmen and did comprehensive work in both violin, viola, cello, bass, and bows. So much so in bows that my dad became the head bow restorer for the famed Rembert Wurlitz's shop in Manhattan. Shop went on in Manhattan until about 1958, when he decided to take the shop out of Manhattan and bring it out to Long Island. He just constructed a fairly large home on the water in Merrick. So many musicians referred to that house as Casa Kolstein because it was a very large house with the shop in the basement of the house. Behind it, he was an avid boatsman, and he had a large boat that he kept out there that so many musicians stayed on that boat when they had no place else to stay. It was always open. Both my mom and my dad, were open to any musician that was in need of a place to stay, money, whatever. And we've continued that feeling in the shop even to this day. It will help out, and we always assist. The shop was really a one-man shop in Merrick until I joined him in the late 1970s after I graduated college. Shop expanded between my dad and myself. In 1980, I took the reins of the shop over from my dad, bringing the shop out to our present location in Baldwin, New York. Since then, we've expanded it, expanded our product division, expanded our restoration facilities, expanded our staff to an international staff of qualified makers, restorers, bow makers. In the summer of 2019, Manny Alvarez and I had a long discussion, and we decided it was time to change reins of the shop. His competency, his experience, his talents would take the shop to the next level and also bring it into the next generation.
The shop is broken into 6 distinct areas that we're really excited to take you on a tour of today. We have the main showroom, the work area, the packing area, we have the bass lounge, a photography place, and also the Kolstein performance venue. Let's go on the tour and take a look.
This is our only showroom. In 1980, we just had this one showroom. We did our basses here. We had basses lined up down the hallway. We had cellists playing here. We had violinists. It's amazing how much this shop has expanded over the years, where we have actually dedicated areas for every instrument. I mean, the changes you've made as far as bringing an extensive office area over here and then creating really a soundproof tryout room for cellists and violinists and violists is phenomenal. I mean, it's really wonderful.
This definitely was an effort to create an environment and a space that not only sounds incredible, but is also entices the player to try out instruments and really have fun in a space surrounded by history. This main showroom area was really made to just give heart to what Kolstein's is about. Everything that we have here: violin, viola, cello, bass, bows, and accessories. It's the heart of the experience of Kolstein when you first walk in.
My father had a philosophy when we first built this shop, that it should be a preponderance. When you walk in, you shouldn't see one violin, you shouldn't see one cello, you shouldn't see one bass, you shouldn't see one violin piece. You want to see so many choices.
Walking down the Kolstein's Wall of Fame, we see some of the best players in the world who have been our clients, who we've known and had relationships with, from Major Holly to Percy Heath. Barry can speak a little bit more about the relationships that we formed with these players.
There's a lot of history on these walls, a lot of history, a lot of years. A lot of people that unfortunately are no longer with us, but we memorialize them, pay honor, pay tribute to them, because they were part of the history of the shop and the success of the shop.
There's a small tribute to some of the players, some of the clients of the Kolstein shop. And when we go into the bass lounge, we see that is an ever-growing, ever-expanding wall of fame that we are just so happy to add and forge new relationships with and seeing the young players come up and really start to make a name for themselves. Here is one of the practice rooms. This is the Andrew DiVincenzo room, more suited for violinists, violas, and cellists.
This is the workshop area that we're coming into. The workshop area is self-complete. It really has the facilities to do every level of restoration, from basic setup work that Chris is doing to heavy-duty restoration on cellos, violins, violas, basses. If you take a look around you, you'll see multifaceted restoration processes going on.
Stage area where we keep the instruments for our clients, and also where we are instruments that we're going to work on. Here we have the same thing for the cellos, violins, violas. These are things currently in repair or in restoration.
Or instruments that are waiting to be set up and go into inventory. And what we have over here is we have our extensive machining room, which again, self-sufficient shop. We have virtually every tool that we need to produce instruments, create instruments. Yeah, this is our extensive bow making facilities that is capable of any level of restoration, bow making, rehairing, anything of that nature. And many of these tools are many of the tools that my dad, Samuel Kolstein, utilized in his career. And we can go further now. So we're coming into the rosin making area in the Kolstein facility. You can get a quick view of a lot of the automated pouring pots that we've designed over the years to produce the rosin. The demand is such that we really needed to step up our production over what it was when my dad in the really early 1960s decided to get involved in creating a rosin due to the fact that the leading rosins at that time were no longer available. They went out of existence. So if I was to say anything about rosin, the truth of the matter is it's not a clean job. There's fumes, there's smells when you make it, but there's a certain thing about making rosin that virtually any violin maker that's got involved with falls in love with. It's really what I consider a lifestyle, not just producing or a product or being in a business. It really is, it's part of my life. I grew up in it, and now it's part of Manny's life.
Yeah, we take such great pride in the rosin that we make. From every player that uses it, we're so thankful for them. But I think that they really get to experience what a great rosin is supposed to be like. Rosin is not just something that you just haphazardly throw on your bow, but it's something that becomes a part of the player, depending on how many swipes you put on it, and the type of sound that comes out of your instrument. It really does add a value to the instrument and to the bow.
Yeah, no question about that.
What's really nice is that we have different grades of rosin for different players, from our all-weather Kolstein all-weather base rosin to our Kolstein soft base rosin, our Kolstein hard grade rosin for base. It really depends on the climate, and it depends what our clients are looking for inside of a rosin. And we really feel that every problem or every aspect that a player is looking for in rosin can be solved by one of those three rosins.
Yeah, rosin making, as far as is multifaceted, because first of all, once you get a formula, and we've worked very hard at this formula for decades, but once you get that formula, it's a matter of consistency, making sure the first keg is the same as the last keg to come out of a poured batch of rosin.
On each of the violin, viola, and cello rosins, it has this beautiful cloth underneath that says Kolstein and the type of rosin that it is, as well as a silicone cap to help preserve its shape and freshness. Underneath, you'll see a beautifully flamed rosin.
principal bass of the New York Philharmonic, and I'm very happy to say a few words on behalf of Kolstein All-Weather Rosin at the request of my dear friend Barry Kolstein. This rosin has been in my bass case for pretty much my entire career, and you can always find a few cakes floating around in my section at the Phil. It's so dependable. It just has a way of working when other things are not working. I'll tell you one story. The orchestra had been in China for a couple of weeks. 95% humidity, 100-degree temperatures. This was in the summer. We got out of China, our bow hair was all drooping like this and completely shot. Well, our basses and us, we all arrived in Vail, Colorado at 30% humidity and 50-degree nights. And I remember the first morning out on stage, it felt like all of our bow hair was like that. Well, after rehearsal, I went and I phoned up Barry. I said, Barry, we're in trouble. And he very kindly FedExed us out a few cakes of Kolstein All Weather. So the next morning, we were passing this around on stage, and we were back in business, cheering. So it's great stuff. It really works. I hope you all have a great summit. And my compliments to Barry and also to Manny, who'll be taking over. Great guys. Stay safe.
Kolstein Rosin Supreme represents a tradition that spans over 5 decades, making the finest rosin with a formulation that meets the demands of each and every member of the string quartet and caters to their specific needs. Kolstein offers a fine violin rosin, a rosin specially formulated for the violist's needs, 2 grades of unsurpassed cello rosins, a normal grade and slightly tackier medium grade, and a bass rosin available in 3 different blends: soft, all-weather, and hard grades to accommodate all climatic conditions and playing needs. In the early 1960s, Samuel Kolstein began a quest to solve the rosin problem, that there really were only generic grades of rosin used for both violin, viola, and cello. The bass, too, had little rosin choices at that time, with the disappearance of weed-off bass rosin, the main bass rosin that was relied upon at that time. The existing rosins had problems of overly powdering and little longevity without drying out, and the formulations were not customized to the needs of the individual player and their instrument. Samuel Kolstein, with his extensive background in luthering and engineering, dedicated several years of extensive research and development and created a line of rosins that were not only specifically formulated to each string instrument and player's needs, but offered longevity of playing qualities, low powdering, and even adherence to the hair of the bow. Kolstein's new rosin attracted the attention and loyalty of some of the finest players of that era. After the passing of Samuel Kolstein in 1999, his son Barry Kolstein took over the development process and refined the full line of Kolstein rosins even more by slight improvements to the formula. In addition, the development of electronic automated heating and pouring pots immensely improved the quality and quality control of each and every production run of Kolstein rosin products. The complex rosin machinery, designed by Barry Kolstein, slowly heats the rosin components to exact temperatures, constantly monitored and controlled to ensure that the melting process does not heat or boil off any of the essential components in the rosin formulation. Each and every pour is overseen by Barry, who is directly involved in the final formulation of each batch of rosin. The multiple components that go into each pour of Kolstein rosin are exactly measured with checks and balances to make sure that the quality is maintained on every piece of Kolstein rosin. The melting pot has an agitator that consistently mixes the components through the entire melting process, once again ensuring the best, consistent quality. Once fully heated and blended, the rosin mixture is then strained into a lower heated dispensing pot. Any impurities in the multiple tree resin components are removed in the final straining to make sure that the Kolstein rosin kegs are of the finest quality possible. After the rosin is strained into the dispensing heating pot, the pot is air-sealed and pressurized to avoid any evaporation of vapors. This is followed by the pouring process, dispensing the melted Kolstein rosin components through our semi-automatic pouring equipment. All temperature levels are strictly monitored. The rosin is then dispensed into heat-resistant silicon molds that not only uniformly cool the molten rosin, but also embosses the Kolstein name and logo onto all the violin, viola, and cello rosin kegs. The base rosin has unique silicon packaging, wrapping it in a protective sheath that not only keeps the rosin sealed, but also eliminates the warm weather melting that basists previously experienced. With the rosin pour completed, the rosin is stored in the silicon molds for a curing period of several days before the rosin is removed. It is then adhered to a decorative cloth with a protective plastic shield being capped over every keg of violin, viola, and cello rosin. This prevents heat embossing of the cloth onto the perfectly formed rosin while in storage. All Kolstein rosin products and all associated processes in the production of them are quality controlled to the highest level. This ensures that each and every Kolstein rosin will be as good, if not better, than all Kolstein rosin previously available. This is why Kolstein rosin is the premier name in string instrument rosins worldwide, and why it's world-renowned for excellence.
Hello, my name is Rufus Reed, and I'd like to just take this moment. We got a lot of time. I've been practicing because there's not a whole lot more we can do right during this period, and I've been working with the bow a lot, so I need some rosin, and I love this Samuel Kolstein base rosin. It's I've been using it for years, and it's so consistent, and it just works for me, and I think it would work for you too. What's nice about it, because as you know, if you leave it in the wrong place, especially in the summertime, rosin will melt all over the place. But this casing kind of keeps it contained, which is a really nice feature that I didn't really plan on. But you just swipe it a few times, and put it back in the case, the cap, and it's ready for the next time. But what I really enjoy it is that it actually works really well. Every time. Try it.
So now we're in the, it's actually a multi-purpose area. That's a packing area for our rosin, and it's also a production area for the Kolstein unit bass carriers and cello carriers. The bass carriers actually came about, their inception was 1964. My father developed the case. In the late 1970s, 1980s, we went into what was called a unistrap design, which we did away with the multi-strap systems and went into centerbout, movable centerbouts that suspended the instrument. But again, no wood straps that went around, suspended the neck, suspended the lower neck, had the centerbouts suspended, and also a lower bout that lifted the instrument up. In the 1980s, we designed the Uni-Air bass carrier, which is a patented pneumatic airbag system that basically envelops the instrument into inflatable natural gum rubber airbags. So any kind of impact is absorbed by these airbags to really give maximum protection. This is really the ultimate way of traveling with the bass carrier or a cello carrier on an international basis.
So let's take a look at the Kolstein Uni-Air bass carrier. This is what the inside looks like. We have different levels of suspension. This is where the scroll is strapped in. Then you have the neck area. You have the center bout that's a leather belt that hangs across, hugs the instrument. And then you have airbags towards the bottom. So what's really great is that this entire case is lined with natural gum rubber airbags that suspend this instrument, and it's floating in air.
The whole key with these cases, when the instrument is loaded, it's the instrument itself, when it's properly put in here without the cover, and the cover, there is room to put the cover in this case, is that it's free floating in the case. That's why this instrument is assured that it will come out from any kind of transport that you use the case for. Now, we do make the case in 3 models now, which I'm really quite proud about. We have it in the original model, which is a little bit larger. It'll accommodate any size instrument. Then we make it in a 77-inch model that'll take up to a full cut 3/4. Just introduced a new model that's under 80 inches. The case is about 79 inches in height, which is much, much lower than this case. That will accommodate any size instrument. We redesigned that case. All of them look exactly the same. They all work exactly the same. If you didn't have them next to each other, you wouldn't know any difference. But it's an alternative and an option for anybody's traveling needs.
Welcome to the Kolstein Bass Lounge.
This is a culmination of our collection of double basses. As we said before, we worked out of that one room at one point. This was really a great situation for us when we built this room about 1.5 years ago. It allowed all the basses to go into one area. We have a practice room in the back. We have an international collection of instruments, from student level instruments to the highest pedigree, Italian, French, German instruments. It's really a very comprehensive room. It's a great acoustic in this room as far as trying instruments out. I think anybody that's been to our shop can attest to the quality of the sound that exists in this room and also the extensiveness of our collection. I often say to the clients that, we can't necessarily guarantee that we're going to find you that definitive instrument that you're going to want to buy, but you're never going to see a collection more comprehensive than what we have at Kolstein's. And this room attests to that. So what I'd like to show you at this point is what I consider the jewel on the crown. And that's, we're so thankful to the International Society of Bassists that we've gotten Scott LaFaro's bass back in our shop for, at least for the moment, where we've been asked to become the keeper of time once again. I mean, my relationship with this bass goes back to when Scotty passed away in 1961. And my dad had done all the restoration work for Scotty, put the bass into its being that, became part of his legacy. And after Scotty passed away, untimely passed away in a car accident, the bass came to my father in very bad condition. Unfortunately, it was in the car that Scotty passed away in, and it was badly, badly damaged. My father really never had, he never could find it within himself to really restore the instrument because he was so attached to Scotty. But back in probably 1986, with the upcoming 1988 ISB convention that was dedicated to Fred Zimmerman and Scott LaFaro, I went to my father and asked his permission to restore the bass, and it was a 2-year process to put this bass back in order. It had been very badly fire damaged, impact damaged, so there was 2 years of really heavy, heavy work in the restoration of this bass. So consequently, I guess it was in the Colorado, it was actually 2014, I made a very, very difficult decision, but it was an easy decision. I decided that it was time for this instrument to leave my hands, and we made the decision in honor of the LaFaro family to endow the bass to the ISB, so it belongs to them. The ISB has been very gracious in the fact that they make this bass available through a process that you need to go through the ISB, but they've made this bass available for projects for people to play. For the moment, we are the guardians or the keeper of time of this bass, so it's nice to have it home with us. So this is really the final area, which probably from looking at it through the camera, it doesn't look like we're in the same workshop, but it is. It's really, I'm really excited about this. It was really the brainchild of Manny. He developed this, and it's really our performance venue here. We've had some incredible live performances, live stream performances here, but let me have Manny talk about it a little bit further.
Yeah, so of course, at first this started out as a intimate venue space open to everybody to not only just hold performances, but be able to really share either album releases or pieces of music that are being written. And of course, COVID came and really changed the aspect of basically the nature of business everywhere for everything that we do. And Kolstein Performance Space was affected by that. We had this area lined up with seating to fit up to 75 people throughout the space, and now we started to rethink really what this area could do. This area is being transitioned into a more online performance space area where we have camera equipment attached here where anyone can come and use it and to live stream and or to record. We took really great thought into how this area would be set up. We started out with finding out the acoustics of the room. We've removed the paneling and we've added wood paneling across the top of the area, having wood paneling come across the stage area, and then on the side here have these acoustic boards set up with a acoustic paneling in the back end of the room to really help absorb any stray sounds or any stray notes around, to really contain it into an area where you really feel the richness and the fullness of the instrument of what's being played.
I mean, the truth is, I've been a jazz enthusiast for most of my life, and I've gone to many of the clubs in the city, which are wonderful. But I really put this, we've had some performance in here that I've put on the same par as some of the better clubs in the city. It's been a lot of fun, and we are hoping for better days ahead for not only live streaming, but we look forward to the day that we can bring live performance back here with audiences.